Today, I want to talk about retirement. I'm putting on my teacher's hat and making a checklist of some of the things that you'll need to think about if you're going to have a good retirement. Are you ready to ditch that 9 to 5 life for something else? No more getting up early in the morning, rushing to your car for that long commute. Retirement comes to everybody a little differently. Some people work for 40 years for the same company, get that gold watch, and walk off into the sunset with their pension. Other people, retirement comes a little more haphazardly. For me, I was working at Boeing with 100 other people on a contract that got sent to India. That meant 100 of us, 20 and 30-year-olds, were out of work. And those are the people I would have to compete with. So I decided maybe I should try something else. Now, if you love your 9 to 5 job, now I loved mine, and you want to go back to it, and I didn't. You want to go back to that life that you lived before, 9 to 5, long commutes, then maybe retirement isn't for you yet. If you answered the last question in the affirmative and you're ready to leave that working world behind, then you're ready for the next question on our list. What you going to do with all this free time? If you don't find something to do, you're going to drive yourself and everybody around you crazy. You might have to find a part-time job, start a new hobby, learn something new. As for me, I started teaching at a community college a couple hours a week. I learned how to cook, and I'm learning the piano and learning how to take care of cacti. Oh, one more thing, I'm learning how to make YouTube videos. Likewise, you're going to have to find something to occupy your time. Next on our checklist is one of the first things you're going to need to do once that idea of retirement pops into your head. You're going to have to find out as much as you can about your pension and Social Security. Now, if you won't be getting a pension or Social Security because your country or company doesn't have that program, then you have to look at your finances and see what are you going to need to do to survive your retirement. But if you're lucky enough to have a pension or Social Security, you're going to need to learn everything you can. That's where the Google machine comes in. You're going to have to ask them, how do I apply? When do I apply? Where do I apply? How old do I need to be? And the most important question of all, how much will I be receiving? When that big layoff notice came from Boeing, I was still young to be eligible for Social Security. I knew I'd have to wait a couple more years before that. I'd have to live on savings and maybe that part-time job. When I reached 62, I applied. That's the youngest you can apply for Social Security in the United States. The problem with that and many other programs is the younger you are when you apply, the less you'll receive. If I had waited 4, 5, 6 more years, I would receive a lot more. You'll have to do the math for yourself. Next on our checklist is maybe the most important one. How much am I going to need in retirement? The quick answer is more than you think. Try this exercise. I bet you haven't done it in a while. Estimate how much you spend per month. Don't think that in retirement you're going to spend much less. How much do you spend on mortgage or rent? How about the taxes on your house or other taxes? Food, clothing, gas, utilities, credit card debt. There's a lot of stuff on that list, and each person has a different list. Now, here's a rule of thumb I use. When I come up with the number, the estimated number of my monthly expenses, I multiply that by 1.5. Most of us always underestimate how much we spend. That new number, that new calculated number, will be much closer to what you actually spend. One of the best suggestions I got when I started thinking about retirement was get out of debt, pay off your credit cards, pay off any other debts you may have. You don't want to go into retirement with extra financial burdens. Related to that is, if you can, pay off your mortgage. That was one of the best suggestions I had because now I'm stress free. Now I don't have to worry about that. If the money you have coming in is more than the money you have going out, then, as my Marine Corps son would say, you're good to go. Otherwise, you have some planning to do. Many people in retirement downsize. They get a smaller house, an older car, fewer trips to fancy restaurants, and that Caribbean cruise might need to be postponed for a while. And by the way, this is when many people start thinking about retiring to a foreign country where the cost of living might be lower than where you are now. This is a topic we're going to be discussing in a future video. The last bit of financial advice I was given was to keep a chunk of change put away somewhere where I won't be tempted to get at it. This is an emergency fund. By definition, emergencies are costs that are unexpected. The wind blowing the roof off your house, your old reliable car dying, your brother-in-law needing a loan. If you have an emergency fund, these unexpected costs won't interrupt your retired lifestyle. Eat well, exercise, get a good night's sleep. These are some of the things that will keep us healthy in our retirement. We should have been doing this all our lives, of course. But when you reach retirement age, pre-existing conditions sometimes kick in. I have a couple of ticky-tack things, but they don't bother me much. But I do have a pre-existing condition. I'm 77 years old. And because of that, health insurance is a necessity. If you live in a country where the government pays for your health insurance, that's one thing. I come from the United States, where health insurance for older people kicks in at age 65. It's called Medicare. One of the problems with Medicare is if you live overseas, they don't cover you. So you'll have to take care of that yourself. One of the things I do is I have a health insurance bank account. I put some money in there, enough to cover some major problems, and I don't ever look at it or touch it. It's there only for my medical emergencies. You're going to have to figure out what you'll do for insurance and taking care of your health. Many of us have obligations other than ourselves. We may have elderly parents who need our help, both in time and financially. We may have children who still need our support. We're going to have to see if in our retirement we'll still be able to fulfill these obligations and help the people who still depend on us. If you're on your own and you've made your retirement decisions for yourself, then you're ready to go. But if there's a significant other, a partner, then you may have some splaining to do. You guys are going to have to discuss what your retirement life is going to be like and whether you're ready for retirement. And if you don't agree, you're not ready for retirement yet. The last item on our checklist is an important one. Who are you going to hang out with? When you're working, your social network is mostly your colleagues. They're the ones you go out to lunch with. You might have a beer after work. But when you retire, that network will disappear, or at least mostly disappear. You're going to have to build a social network on your own. Maybe new people, maybe old friends. And a large part of your social network is your family. You're going to want to keep your family as close as possible.